Hello, all. Welcome to the AI Time Journal podcast series. This is Akshay Toshniwal, and today we have Susan Walsh, the most famous, we can say the classification guru is with us today. So it's a complete pleasure and honor to have you, Susan. I'm sure this podcast was pending from a lot of, since quite a long time, and today it's been an absolute pleasure to host you. So, welcome
Yes,
to the AI Time Journal podcast,
thank
Suzanne.
you. We finally meet. Yeah. You've been busy. I've been busy. We've all
Yeah,
been busy.
absolutely. Yeah, it's absolutely great. And as I said before, I love that mascot of the classification group.
Yeah,
It's
3D
awesome.
Susan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Great. So, Suzanne, just to start off and to give a brief intro, why not you introduce yourself and just talk about how did you started your journey in the field of data science?
Yeah. So, well, it started way back when I was at university. I did a degree in commerce, which is a business related degree.
Okay.
Never really knew what I wanted to do, but I fell into sales and did that
Oh.
for a long time and then realized that I didn't enjoy it. So then I opened a ladies' clothes shop here in the UK,
Oh, is it?
which was a complete disaster. It was so expensive and nobody came
Oh
in to
God.
buy anything. So had to close that down. Desperately needed a job. I found an ad online for a spend analytics company who needed somebody to classify spend data for procurement
Okay.
people. And that is how
Mhm.
I fell into data. And I really thought it would be a 1 or 2 month job until something else came
Mhm.
along.
Mhm.
But as soon as I started working, I really enjoyed it. It was really good. And
Awesome.
so I ended up staying at that company for 5 years. And then when it was
Oh.
time to move on, I didn't know where I could get a job doing something similar because I wasn't a qualified data analyst or data scientist or
Oh.
data
Mhm.
anything, or a
Okay.
procurement anything. So I set up the Classification Guru almost 5 years ago. And so since then, I have
Wow.
been spreading the word of clean data and trying to build up my client base.
That's really amazing. I mean, you started off with multiple things. You ended up doing a job for 5 years, and after that, just because you were not having any certificates and degrees in data science, you started off with Classification Guru, and I must say, it's doing awesome. You know,
It's
me
getting
and
there. Yeah.
I'm sure, including me, many people on LinkedIn, on the internet, they follow you and they learn so much from you. I mean,
Oh,
the
thank you.
amount of the kind of insights you generate, it's really awesome. So
That
that's
really means a
thank you
lot.
so much for that. Yeah,
No,
thank you
thank
so much for
you.
that.
I guess I look at it from, because I didn't train as a data person, I always look at it from an outsider point of view. So when I do
Okay.
learn something, I want to
Mhm.
share it in a way that's relatable to everybody and not
Yeah,
just the few. And it seems
absolutely.
to have struck chord with a lot of people.
That's right. That's right. I'm definitely sure you share it in such a way that it correlates with a lot of people. So
Yeah.
that's really awesome. And I've been following you on LinkedIn since quite a long time, and I saw that a few months ago, I guess you appeared on TEDx conference as well. So how was that experience, and what did you talk about? And can you share on that, please?
Yes, I can't believe that. So that was May last year, and it was the most terrifying experience of my life.
Oh, is
Um,
it okay?
I yeah, I had to apply to TEDx in Woking,
Mm-hmm.
pitch my topic. Then there
Mm-hmm.
was a first round of auditions. I got through that. Then there was a
Okay.
second round of auditions, and then
Okay.
and then we had the actual day. And everything had been on Zoom up until the actual day of filming, and then we were put on a stage, and we had had no
Oh, wow.
practice speaking on a stage. It was being
Oh.
live streamed as well. There were no auto cues. You had to memorize your talk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at one point, I actually went into kind of like a trance and got my words mixed up and had to start again, but they edited it very well. Um, and yeah, it really pushed me out of my comfort zone because I wasn't talking about data. I was talking about my personal journey, things that have happened to me. how a lot of obstacles that I've had to overcome. You know, a lot of people have said to me, no, you can't do something. And I've said, yes, I can, I'll show you. And so I
Love
guess
that.
to be that vulnerable and put that out there was quite scary. And I knew my family were watching, so that was really terrifying as well.
Wonderful. I mean, that's really, that I'm sure that was a great moment in your life, and one of that very, a wonderful milestone where you got an opportunity
Absolutely.
to share your personal journey and
Yeah.
answer every one of them who said no to you. So that's really
Yeah,
great.
and I think, I'd encourage anybody to do it, because we all think, oh, well, it's our story, nobody's going to be interested in it. But people are interested in other people. So whatever you have to talk about, go and do it.
Absolutely, that's really amazing. I mean, that's so good to know. Okay, awesome. Okay, great. So you just said that you worked 5 years, spending your time classifying the procurement data and stuff like that, and after that,
Yeah.
you wanted to do something more in the data field, but due to that academics, maybe due to the academic background, you didn't get that opportunity, that exposure, and then you started off with the Classification Guru. So how's the journey going on, what it actually does at the core level, and how are you actually changing the world with the Classification Guru? So can you talk about that, please?
Yeah. So I mean, once I left the other company, I could have gone and done a course and got some education on coding and all that kind of stuff. But I decided to focus in on what I knew and what I was really good at and push that instead. So I just went out there and started offering my services. I was on a lot of freelancer websites offering my services too, and I picked up a lot of projects that I had never done before that didn't make me any money, but I learned so much by doing them. And that's, I started by focusing just on procurement spend data. That was all I was going to do. But then I learned how to clean databases and you do that as well. So then I had other skills that I can add to my services, and just by by saying things yes to things that I knew I could probably do, I just had never done before. Um, Grew my knowledge and my experience and offered something else. But if somebody asked me to come and code something, I would say no. But if they said, can you clean this in however you do it, then I'd be like, yeah, of course. So it's knowing what you're good at and focusing and developing that. I think
True.
sometimes we focus way too much on what we're not good at rather than what we are good at.
That's right. So how did you find that? How did you find that spark that, okay, you're good at just cleaning the data, but if someone tells you to code something, then maybe you say no. But if someone just tells you to clean the data and classify it in a very efficient manner, you do that. So how did you find that spark within you?
I guess it was the passion for what and the love for what I was doing. I really, really love, even to this day, I love normalizing suppliers, classifying data.
Okay.
It brings me a lot of satisfaction and joy in my work. And I just wanted to keep being able to do that.
Okay.
And the only way that I knew that I could do that in the way that I wanted was to set up my own business. Even if I didn't know
True.
anybody at all, no connections, no potential business, I just had to put myself out there.
That's really very brave. I mean, I must say you're courageous because doing, especially when it comes to data science analytics, maybe even if you just talk about cleaning the data and classifying it, it's a very tough business until and unless you have some good connections in the market and
Yeah.
people in the industry, because the market is actually now everyone is jumping into that data race, and everyone wants to become data driven. So
Honestly, I thought that when I started my business, there was a need for it, and I thought that over the years it would decrease, and in fact, the opposite has happened. The need
what
for
was it?
what my team and I do has grown massively. there's more and more need
Okay.
for it rather than less, which is a surprise to me.
Okay. Okay.
Because with all the tools that are out there now that say they can do everything, they
Right.
can't do
Right.
everything. Guess what? They can't.
Correct. Correct. And I think you released a video. I guess again. I guess a few months back, or I don't know if you released it last month, maybe. It has some that as soon as you see, as soon as the classification guru sees, like, I'm sorry, as soon as Susan Walsh sees some dirty data, Suzanne turns into the classification guru, works on some tools, and just cleanses it. How did that idea struck your mind?
Um, Bit of collaboration with the people that made it. No, actually, no. That one was my friend's 5-year-old son who
Oh
said
wow, is
you
it?
should be the Hulk. Yeah. So that's where that
Wow.
came from. And most people would say, "Oh, don't be silly," whereas I was like, "Yes, that's a great idea."
That is indeed was a great idea. I love the
Yeah.
video, honestly. Awesome. So, just to know what kind of tools, I don't know if you could share, but just a brief overview on what kind of tools do you use primarily to clean
Yeah.
your data, to classify it?
Well, believe it or not, it's not Excel. Excel is not my favorite tool. I
Oh, is it?
use no. I stay away from it at all costs. It's so prone
Okay.
to mistakes, cut and paste errors, accidental deletions, all those kinds of things. I use some
Okay.
software called Omniscope, and it's
Oh,
a
okay.
data modeling and data visualization tool, and it's amazing. It's like
Okay.
Excel on steroids. I have developed my own way to classify the data, and it just makes everything more efficient. It makes the data more accurate, and it's what my team used as well. I've trained them in my ways and my methods.
That's awesome. I learned a new tool today. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing that.
However, obviously, I know that not everybody has access to that. So I did actually write a book called
Wow.
Between the Spreadsheets, which
Oh,
actually
that's
shows
awesome.
people how to do everything in
Mm-hmm.
Excel. So you can do it in Excel too. So I've kind of
Oh,
reverse
wow.
engineered my process so that
Okay.
an equivalent can be done in Excel. Now, I'm not saying that that is the easiest way, but it's a way if you don't have access to the tools. It gives you something
Mm-hmm.
and some tips that you might never have thought about before.
Oh, was it okay? I love the fact that you wrote a book. I think I saw that. But how did you start, your journey in writing that book? You came up with that idea?
Yeah, so maybe about 2 years ago, I thought one day I'd like to
Oh,
write a book, and not because I want to write a book. I'm
mhm.
not a massive reader. I don't really enjoy reading.
Okay.
It was never an ambition of mine to read. However, what I noticed was that there are very little resources out there for how to clean data, just
Mhm.
in Excel, for example, or using a tool like Omniscope. You can do courses on how to clean data in R, Python, but what if you
Yeah.
don't use those tools? What if you just occasionally need to clean some data? There's nothing out there. So
Mhm.
I literally put everything I knew into a book,
Okay.
and it's been out for about 6 months now. So yeah, I've had some really good feedback so far.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And
Thank
like
you.
again, this is again one big milestone in your life, I'm sure. You've
I
thought
know,
about it and you just did that.
crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but
That's awesome.
it really did nearly break me. I worked so hard, and then
Absolutely.
yeah, I hurt my wrist, strained my wrists. I had them in splints and everything. It was crazy.
Okay. I hope you're good now.
Yeah, yeah,
After
it's fine
hearing the
now.
feedback of the book.
It
Awesome.
took it
Awesome.
took months to recover. I really did like type way too much.
Right. I just hope it's all worth of it right now. It's all worth,
Yeah,
right?
I think now I can say yes. If you told me when I wrote the book, I was like, no, this is oh, I should. Oh, it was awful. But
Okay.
more than anything, the feedback I'm getting is that it's helping people and they're actually
Absolutely.
learning something from it, and that's what's most important to me. I'm not just telling them something they already know. They're actually
Mhm.
getting new tips and tricks from me and how
That's
to
awesome.
improve their processes. So yeah, that's it's been really worthwhile.
Great. I love that. It seems I after the session I'll have to order that book right away and learn some tips and tricks for sure. Awesome. I love that. Oh,
Cool.
okay. So you've been a master, you've been a guru in data cleaning and pre-processing. So maybe you would be the best person to share what is the importance of data pre-processing and cleaning, and why is it so important that many people say that around 70 to 80% of time goes into data cleaning, pre-processing, and it's very hard. For a lot of people, it's very hard. Many people find the building machine learning models very easy, but the
Yeah.
tough part is the data cleaning part. So
Yeah.
what according to you, and what is the importance of that? Like how important it is to actually first clean your data and then pass that data to your machine learning
Yeah.
model?
So it actually depends on who you're speaking to. If you're speaking to the data scientists and the
Hmm.
analysts, the reason that you should do it is it saves you so much time in the long run. If you have a clean set that you can
True.
then map over with new data coming in each time, then perfect.
Hmm.
You are saving yourself so much time. And that's the best benefit you could have. You're saving yourself stress because you get angry because you're fixing the same problems over and over again. If you clean it properly, you won't have those issues. Secondly, if you are a decision maker in a business, so the CEO or a head of department or something like that, why should you bother cleaning your data? Well, for the same reasons, but from a different perspective. Your team are spending a lot of time and a lot of your money wasting a lot of valuable time cleaning data when they don't need
Okay.
to. You could be
Hmm.
lowering your costs and increasing profitability just by having some clean data without
Hmm.
having to do anything
True.
else. So it's
That's
it's
true.
worth it from that point of view. And then from a decision making point of view as well, you want to make sure that the numbers are correct, that the information is correct when you're making decisions. So that's why it's important.
Absolutely, got that. So, no matter how how, like, the quantity here doesn't matter. It all boils down to the quality of the data that you
Yeah,
use,
yeah,
because
absolutely.
only that will help you scale up your business in the long term, and it
Yeah.
doesn't depend on the quantity of the data. That's really interesting. Okay, so again, coming back to your journey, you've been working for 5 years. Previous experience, 5 years into Classification Guru. So I'm sure you must have experience of handling one of the world's most dirtiest data ever.
Oh
So
yes.
I would like to really know, and I'm sure the audience would love to know that what were the major challenges that you faced, and some of the most difficult data sets that you actually wanted, you cling, and how was that process? How did you thought about it? And how what kind of approach did you use in order to solve those most difficult challenges?
Yeah. So I think first of all, I can't name any names. I will not tell
Yeah,
on
that's
anybody. But
sure.
the worst type of data that I've seen is either data that has already been classified and has been classified incorrectly, because actually at that point you have to just scrap the whole lot and start again. It's that it
Hmm.
just contaminates the whole data set. And then on the flip
Okay.
side of that, when you have like supplier information and addresses and zip codes and phone numbers, and I've seen
Okay.
literally like in the zip code postcode column, names, addresses, cities, towns, anything but
Oh.
postcodes. Um, the city is like London and the country is India. I mean, really bad stuff. That and we're talking tens of thousands of rows of data. it's not a quick, easy fix. You can't just put this in some software and fix it. There has to be some manual intervention to fix this before you can put it in the software and clean it up, because some of the addresses are in address 1 column, like the whole address.
Oh,
And then you
okay.
have the whole address in the zip code column in another line. So it's not even standard.
Correct.
It is so time consuming, and can be quite a thankless task. And people don't really appreciate what you've done unless you show them what it was like before and what it was like after.
And what it is now. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they start to appreciate like the difference you've made. So yeah, that would be my
One of the
advice.
most challenging, right?
Yeah.
Great, great.
No wonder,
Just to
I mean,
know.
I was just going to say, no wonder it was so bad that they didn't touch it, because it was that bad.
Okay, got that. Okay, super. So, just wanted to know, as we've, just I talked about, maybe you talked about the most challenging data that you dealt with. How much maximum time did you give to one data set to actually, clean it right from the scratch? Like, you got a safe example, you didn't get a existing data set which is classified incorrectly, but you got a new data set which was extremely bad. It was extremely dirty, unstructured. You got a lot of errors. So how much maximum time did your team took to actually clean that?
I mean, we've had projects that have lasted maybe 8 to 10 weeks. However, I have a
Okay.
project that started in the summer last year and is still going on. But the reason that it's still going on is because the client hasn't come back to finish it off. So it's been halted, not because we have been cleaning the whole time, but we're waiting on them making a decision about what to do next. So
Okay. Okay.
it really depends. And then I overcommitted to another project that should have taken about 10 weeks, and we had to do it in about 4 to 6 weeks, and it was a killer. It was really tough. There were multiple source systems that we had to merge together,
Oh, is it
rename the
okay?
columns, tidy it up. So yeah, work out currency conversion. Yeah, it got really messy.
Okay. So, roughly maximum time that you took is around 10 to 12 weeks, right?
I'd say 10 weeks, yeah.
So that's still pretty fast, I would say. As compared to
Hey,
other
well, I mean,
experts, maybe.
if I were doing it on my own, it would take a lot longer than that. But obviously, I have a small team, so, and obviously, I
Okay.
train them in the ninja guru efficient ways. So, you know,
Super.
that's how we can do it and do it well.
That's really good to know. Great, awesome. Okay, super. Now, just to know, maybe a little bit in depth about how do we focus on data cleaning and pre-processing. Now, whenever someone is trying to build any sort of artificial intelligence or machine learning model, it is said that in order to understand the data outcomes, it is very important to have that business knowledge, business acumen, the domain knowledge. Say, for example, now you worked in the supply chain procurement industry, right? So
Yeah,
obviously, you had that little bit of knowledge. You got to read about supply chain. You got to read about that particular industry in order to actually
yeah.
understand the data, right? And in order to actually understand what outcomes are getting generated, right? So when we talk about this, how important a domain knowledge or business acumen is when it comes to just cleaning, classifying, and pre-processing the data. I mean, we are not doing anything, we are not building a model, but we are just cleaning and pre-processing the data. So how important at that particular level is domain knowledge and business knowledge? What do you think?
I'd say it's important, and it's so we can do so much as a team, and we are very good at what we do. However, it still needs to be reviewed by somebody within the organization,
Mhm.
because they will always have more knowledge of their business than we will. So I think it's really a hand in hand. Quite often we will start on new data projects and we have no experience in that industry of that company, But after working with a data set for a few hours, you get to understand the styles, the patterns, how things should look, and then it becomes quite obvious when things are not quite right. So you don't have to have an expert, but it helps a lot, just even for the final checks.
Okay. Okay. And so basically the process is like you guys clean the data, you put it for a review to your client. The client maybe comes back with some sort of changes, some sort of more
Yeah,
information. You guys work on that. So that's the process that is followed, right?
yeah, yeah, and that works, because then they're only once we've cleaned it, they'll be able to spot quickly anything that doesn't look quite right because the rest is right.
Okay, okay, got it. So the primary data sets that you kind of deal is of like, is it just data? Is it big data? The kind of volume variety of the different data sets that you deal
Yeah.
with. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it can be anything from 1,000 rows to a few million rows of data. Really depends. Everybody's different. And sometimes the million rows of data is easier to classify than the 1,000 rows. It really depends on
Okay.
the information that you have, the quality of the data. I
Mm-hmm.
once had a project where I had to classify 4,000 suppliers
Mm-hmm.
from 90 different countries, so almost as many different languages, with just a company name, no description about what they did. I only knew the country they
Oh,
were from. And of course, you have to translate the names, so you have to really use your knowledge and experience to kind of, and a lot of it is guesswork, you best
okay.
guess. A lot
Right.
of people's names, if it's a high value, will be consultancy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that was a really, it took a month to do 4,000 rows,
Mm-hmm.
but on another project I could get through 200,000 rows in a month. So it really does depend on what you're doing.
Okay. Okay. Got that. Okay, so that's really great. Obviously, um, again, one of my question would be focused to the pre-processing and stuff. So maybe or more towards if someone wants to enter the data science industry, like
Yeah.
what are the things any user, be it a technical person or a non-technical person, if they want to take advantage of this data-driven world and they want to enter into the data science industry, what do you think they should take care of? What kind of things, in order to just begin their career?
So I started at the very bottom and worked my way up. And that's how
Mhm.
you learn every aspect. You can't cheat that. And the other thing is there are so many different areas in data. So you might not like the first area that you try different aspects of data to see which one you enjoy the most. And then it can be hard to gain experience. So, like I said, I went on a
Yeah,
whole load of freelancer websites and just basically worked for nothing, gaining some experience so that I could tell the next person that I'd done this.
yeah,
So, it's hard work, determination. You have to do something that you enjoy. That's so important. And then,
absolutely.
and then, if you work hard enough and you're good enough, and show your skills as well. So if you're on LinkedIn, show some of the projects you're working on, show some of the things you've learned. People start to notice you, and then that's when you will find opportunities. But it won't fall in your lap. You'll have to work for it.
Absolutely, that's really very well said. So it's not just about thinking and just learning things, but it
Yeah,
is more important to actually execute them and implement stuff, so that whatever
yeah.
you've learned, you just do that, you practice it, and the more you practice it, you become better and better each day. That's really.
We're hearing about all these really high paid data jobs that are around at the moment.
Hmm. Hmm.
But the biggest problem is they can't recruit for those roles because they're not finding the right candidates. So just because you have on a piece of paper that you can do something doesn't mean
Yeah,
that you're right for the job. And actually,
that's true.
understanding the business as well as the data will really work well in your favor.
Mhm. That's that. I really agree by that. This is the reason, many people, they're jumping into the data science industry because they think that, okay, if I do this, I'll earn a lot of money and I'll get that job. But there is a lot of
It's not that
difference
easy.
between what. Yeah, absolutely. It's not that easy at all. There's a lot of difference between what you actually learn and do when you're just doing some sort of course or something, and what actually businesses want. So
Yeah.
there's a very huge gap actually, and that is the reason not many people, even by having those certificates and degrees, they're not able to crack those interviews and take up those jobs. I absolutely agree by that.
Yeah.
Cool, great, awesome. So, just to maybe this would be the last question.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, um, you've definitely been a lot more time in the industry, and you've known multiple businesses, multiple people all over the world, and maybe you would be one of the great person to give some good advice to youngsters and to working professionals on if they want to start it off, what things they need to take care of. So I would suggest you, or maybe ask you for your top three advice for beginners who are just starting off their careers, and they can be students, working professionals, anyone. But your top three advice for anyone who's starting the career into data science.
First thing is, this is not, you don't have to commit to this for the rest of your life. It's okay to try things and then for them to not work out. The first job that you have might not be the job you end up doing. It's okay to try a few things first. Secondly, I'd say try and get experience wherever you can. Like, offer to do extra help if you're already in an office. Ask your colleagues if they need help with something. Get involved in other areas of the business just to see how they run and operate. See if you can help somebody in another department, maybe with one of their processes. I helped an organization last year. I saved them 6 hours a week just by
Oh,
tidying up their spreadsheets. So,
okay.
maybe you could do that for somebody else in another part of the organization, and, raises your profile within the business. And then I think I really do believe focus in on what you're good at. Don't
Yeah, that's right.
worry about what you're not good at. Really hone in the skills that you are good at, because there's 100 more things that I am not good at than I'm good at, but the stuff that I'm good at, I'm really good at. And I challenge anyone to be better than me at those things. So, that's, because I've spent time on those things, developing those and really honing in on those. And there are niches out there for specific skills. You don't have to be everything and know everything.
That's right. I completely agree by that. Like you don't focus to be a generalist rather than be a specialist and just work on something very specific that you feel you love doing, that you're good at, and maybe you
Yeah.
can build your future in that. That's
And you know
absolutely a
what? You might
great
not,
advice.
it was my early to mid 30s before I found something that I really enjoyed. It might not happen straight away.
Oh, that's right.
So, yeah.
You That's right, you encounter a lot of failures, a lot of roadblocks, and after quite a long time, after a lot of hustle, you actually understand that, okay, this is something that I want to do, and this is where my career can go really at a good scale.
Yeah, and I really appreciate now what I love doing because I did so many things that I didn't enjoy.
Okay, great,
But
that's really good to know.
one last piece of advice.
Oh,
Sometimes
please.
you do just have to suck it up and do stuff you don't like. It's just, it happens.
Yeah, you got to move ahead with the journey. You got to just naturally do and keep on doing what is coming in front of you, and at certain point in time you maybe realize that, okay, this is it, and this is what you like, and this is what you want to do, then
Yeah, and
the
think
rest
of
of
it
your
like
life.
this. it's leading you towards the path that you want to do. So, for example, all those horrible jobs I did that I didn't enjoy, I wouldn't be able to classify data the way I classify data had I not done all those jobs. So,
True.
everything kind of ties up together in the end. And that happens early for some people, or it happens later for some people.
That's right. You just gotta wait for the right time to come to you. That's
Yeah.
really a great advice. Awesome. It was really nice knowing you, Suzanne. And
Yeah, it's been great.
as I said, I've been learning a lot from your LinkedIn posts, and today I've learned a lot from our conversation as well. So thank you
Brilliant.
so much for having being here at AI Time Journal and giving us the opportunity to host you and record this wonderful podcast series with you. Thank you so much,
No,
Suzanne.
thank you so much. Thank you.